Hi everybody, what's up? You're watching MakeUseOf.com reviews. I'm James Bruce, and today we're taking a look at the BV8000 Pro from Blackview. A rugged smartphone with a good bit of power under the hood, able to take rather a beating, and costs around $250 or less. So first, let's talk about the design. It's quite a mishmash of styles really. Overall, it's made of a tough rubberized case. Then there's a metal plate on the left and the right here, covering up some important buttons. And there's also a metal plate on the back, covering up the dual SIM card slot and micro SD expansion. The rubber is textured in a number of places, but not all over. And on the front, you have a 5-inch Gorilla Glass 3 screen running full HD. Unusually for a rugged device, there's actually no rubber things covering up the ports. However, during our testing, there was no lasting water damage, so I guess it doesn't really matter. In terms of specs, you've got an MTK 6757 octa-core CPU inside with 6 GB of RAM and 64 GB of on-device storage. That's all backed up by a rather large 4180 mAh battery. So this is clearly designed to last your entire camping weekend. There's a 16 megapixel rear camera and 8 megapixel front camera. They're not particularly amazing, but neither are they bad. They'll get your weekend snaps in, but you're not going to do serious photography on this. Obviously, if you're buying this phone, you're probably not buying it for the camera sensor. The screen is a full HD 5-inch display, giving it a gloriously high pixels per inch ratio of 440, which is definitely something outdoorsy types will appreciate for mapping applications and such. As for performance, Antutu scores it at around 65,000, which isn't bad. It's about where I'd expect for a $200, $250 phone. More importantly than that though, anecdotally, even the default skin doesn't feel laggy at all to me. There's no input lag between typing and appearing on screen. Nothing opens particularly slowly. It feels as snappy as I would expect. So how rugged is the BV8000 Pro exactly? Well, I've put that to the test, and as you can see at the end of my extensive testing, it's taken quite a beating and, well, it still works. So starting off, it's rated IP68, which means complete ingress protection against dust particles. That's the 6th part of IP68. So we started off with a fairly easy test. We threw it in a load of sand and then threw a bucket of sand and other stones on top of it. Now, to be honest, most phones nowadays are either IP67 or 68 rated, so they would all be able to withstand this sort of test. However, you might expect them to get some screen scratches from stones, or you might expect further problems to develop when the dust has got into the ports and you're trying to get the dust out by washing it, for example. You're then going to cause further problems. In this case, as expected, nothing much happened with the dust test. So we moved on to water. Now, the 8th part of IP68 means that it should be submersible at depths greater than 1 meter for around 30 minutes. Now, we don't have a very deep pool to test in. This is England. We don't do swimming pools. However, to make up for that fact, I did throw it into a water tank a number of times from a number of different angles at different forces. So if anything was going to get in through the ports and start delaminating the screen, it should have happened. At the end of all that, the speakers were a bit muffled, but again, there was no lasting damage. It dried up pretty quickly and they were fine again, back to normal. Again though, many other flagship phones actually have an IP67 or 68 rating, so they should be able to be submerged in water. However, submerging them multiple times would usually be a no-no, as well as they would often cause lasting damage to the audio systems. So now we move on to the more rigorous testing, which is where we started to do some real damage. For a drop test, I tried 5 meters vertically from the 2nd story of my house down onto a solid stone patio. I did that a number of times and honestly couldn't see much difference to the phone at all. Smashing it screen side down onto the ground, spinning it around and throwing it up in the air directly. After all that, we did have some damage to the power button. There seemed to be a dent on that side of the phone, which was forcing the button in and causing the phone to restart. Now, we actually managed to fix that by unscrewing the metal plate and then just pushing the power button back into place. But it did appear there was some lasting damage to the micro switch inside because we've sort of lost the clickiness on the button now, though it does still actually work. You can still turn the phone on and off. Bear in mind at this point that any standard flagship phone, or any phone in fact, would pretty much have been shattered. So the fact it survived all of that is in itself very impressive. However, finally, I wanted to take things up a notch. So I placed it on my gravel driveway and drove my little van over it multiple times. Admittedly, this was screen side up. However, the wheel probably had a couple of stones on it which could have damaged the screen. In this case, we did manage to do some more permanent structural damage. In this case, you can see that the backside of the phone here has actually been bent in a little, and there was a very minor dent in the screen at the side, but that was actually only on the bezel. It doesn't affect the visible area of the screen in any way. And the buttons, the volume buttons where the metal was bent, they actually still work fine as well. So as far as I can tell, having that bend in the back of the phone doesn't really affect functionality at all. The backplate can still be pulled off, you can still swap out cards, and like I said, everything is pretty much still working. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I think we've put the phone through far more rigorous testing than you'd probably expect a rugged phone to actually be able to handle on a day-to-day basis. So yeah, I gotta say I'm impressed that it held up as much as it did. It's pretty clear this thing will take whatever you throw at it. Now, obviously, the design won't be for everyone. It's not supposed to be a flagship that you pull out down the pub and show your mate. Some might even call it ugly. But if you're the kind of person who needs a rugged phone, either for outdoor work or for camping trips, or even just if you're a very clumsy buffoon who often throws their phone in the toilet, in that case, you should definitely consider the Blackview BV8000 Pro as a relatively affordable but ruggedized phone that will take whatever you throw at it. Now, courtesy of Blackview, we also have one of these to give away. I promise you it's new, it's not this beaten up one that I've been testing with. So if you'd like to win that, please head on over to the link in the description or just go directly to MakeUseOf.com/giveaways, where you can enter to win a Blackview BV8000 Pro. If you've enjoyed this review, please hit like and subscribe. We do 2 reviews and giveaways every single week, as well as the occasional technology tips, tricks, and DIY tutorials from all of us over at MakeUseOf.com. Until next time.